Hi, everybody. Raymond Benson here. Welcome to Hooked on Lighter, an episode by episode unpacking of the serial edition of The Hook in the Eye, my Felix Leiter novel. The folks at Ian Fleming Publications and I had this idea to do behind the scenes videos after every episode, much the same way that streaming television series do after one of their episodes drops. Warning, there could be spoilers in this video, so make sure you've read the episode in question before you watch this. Hello, hello. I'm out here on my patio. It's kind of a overcast gray day, a little chilly, unseasonably so. The birds are chirping though. You might hear them. But I don't want to give a weather report. uh, we want to talk about episode 2, which begins with chapter 5, and we take Felix out to Long Island um, to meet with Steve Sandlin of the FBI, and he learns a few things. Steve tells him about the Promethean movement. Now, this was a real thing that existed in Eastern European countries, mainly Poland and Ukraine, and others too, between World War I and World War II. Uh, these guys were fiercely anti-communist, and they attempted to thwart the spread of the Soviet Union through propaganda and other means. Now, the Prometheus were, they were wiped out during World War II, but a few factions did remain, and here and there, kind of working underground, doing what they could. But mind you, they weren't always the good guys. Now we'll maybe learn more about Prometheus as the story goes on. Also in this chapter, Felix learns of the Studelac. Yes, Frick Motors in Rockville Center, New York, out in Long Island. That was where the Studelac had its origins. And it's true that Bill Frick did not start producing them until early 1953. It's in Diamonds Are Forever that Felix starts driving a Studelac convertible. Now, everything I unearthed in the research indicated that um, the convertible was not made. Frick did not make any convertibles. Um, this could be an invention of Ian Fleming's. However, I took some liberties here, and I have Frick make a one-off convertible for Felix. Now, we talk a lot about cars in the book. Felix is driving a 1951 Packard. My good friend Doug Redenius of the Ian Fleming Foundation, he's very much into cars. I talked to him. I'm not a car aficionado. I mean, I love cars and I drive them, but I don't know a lot about the history of cars and the inner workings and so forth. So I asked him. I said, what are some good cars that Felix might have driven in the early 1950s, or what other kind of cool cars there were? And Doug gave me a good list, and I picked the Packard for Felix to be driving during this story. But there's some other cars that will appear throughout the novel that other characters are driving and so forth that Doug helped me out with. Later on, Felix meets up with his old CIA handler, Michael Brinkley, again. We get a little bit of that old alphabet agency rivalry that's always existed between the FBI and the CIA. Brinkley brings up this fanciful notion of hiring Felix through Pinkertons to do a CIA job in America. The CIA was not allowed to do work in the United States. They were supposed to be doing stuff abroad. So this was kind of a sneaky thing to do, but hey, why not? I have a feeling this is exactly something that Ian Fleming might have thought of had he been doing a Felix Leiter plot in America. Chapter 6 dives right into Felix's detective work. He's kind of learning how to be a gumshoe. Um, he investigates this Carl Adamski guy, and we also get introduced to the female character who will play a big part in the story. This is where I got to play a lot with New York history, especially in Greenwich Village. The Village Vanguard, the jazz club, was operating back then. Um, and it's still there today. McSorley's Ale House is touted to be the oldest bar in New York, and it's still there on 7th Street. It's there that we see Carl Adamski meet with a mysterious guy that Felix dubs biology teacher, because the man reminds him of his biology teacher in high school. The guy has a connection to the Consulate General of Poland. Well, Remember, at that time, Poland was under the rule of the Soviet Union. Felix eventually sneaks into Adamski's department and he discovers a few things, right? More communications equipment, and this time a shortwave radio. Now, unlike the B2 suitcase receiver, the range of a ham radio could be hundreds, maybe thousands of miles on a good night. So that's an important piece of information. There's some more scribbling on notes and a calendar. Some words have been repeated from the other guy's hotel room. Yeah, Hurricane, IV, MCA. So what does it all mean? Chapter 7, Felix meets with Brinkley again, and this time at one of my favorite haunts in New York, Pete's Tavern. And it's true that O. Henry did write there. Um, Brinkley has a liquid lunch and wants Felix to find out who that woman is. Felix actually likes that idea, right? So then, he follows Adamski and that woman home from a concert at the Vanguard again, and whoa, we get another moment of violence, and that propels Felix further into the mystery. We learn that her name is Dora Wasaki, and we see the same killer again from chapter 4. The body count is now 2. Now what? What's she gonna do? This is Raymond Benson signing off. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.